Hello, this is Lucretia with the Calm and Confident You podcast. And today I will be interviewing a guest. This will be my third time I've interviewed a guest. And if you've been following along, you might have noticed that I am tending to interview women who are trying to help you to be healthy and happy. So today my guest is Cyndi Rai. And she says she's a holistic therapist. She will explain that a lot more in detail, so you'll know everything about what she can do for you. So, hello, Cyndi. How are you today?
Oh my gosh, I am so fabulous. Really excited to be here. Thank you.
You are welcome. And guests or listeners, if you haven't noticed, right off the bat, you can tell she's got lots of energy and is very positive. So, Cyndi, we won't go into detail yet about everything that you do. First, I'd like you to kind of introduce yourself and your title, kind of what you call yourself. But then I want us to go back and kind of get to know you a little bit, kind of like where you grew up and where you come from. So first, though, what do you call yourself?
Okay, so Cyndi Rai, I like to say like a ray of sunshine, and I've trained in over 20 modalities, including I'm a Chopra certified meditation instructor, massage therapist, Reiki master, foot zonist or reflexologist,
Oh,
energy
wow.
worker, sound healer, and so a true holistic therapist with 25 years of natural living.
Nice. Nice. Okay, we're going to hear more about that as we go along. That reflexology sounds good to me.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. I do face, ears, hands, feet. You also have reflexology points on your back. So that's
Nice.
incorporated with some of the one-on-one work that I do.
Excellent. All right. So let's go back a little bit. Give us an idea where you grew up and kind of how you were formed as a person growing up.
Well, I love saying I live in Coeur d'Alene now. And so it's really awesome saying I was actually born in Coeur d'Alene.
Oh,
But first grade through high school, I grew up in Quincy, Washington. My grandparents retired, or my grandpa retired from construction here. And which is always funny because they bought a bowling alley so they could work like 80 hours a week. But that's just how it rolled. And then we had a restaurant in the bowling alley. So I grew up in a bowling alley in a town with one stoplight in Quincy, Washington.
okay.
And so I basically graduated with the same 76 kids that I went to school with since first grade.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's kind of like me. I had a graduating class of 92. So,
Wow. Where was
yeah.
that?
I grew up down in Haley, Idaho. It's about 15 miles south of Sun Valley,
Okay.
Ketchum, Sun
Oh,
Valley
okay.
area. Yeah.
Okay. I lived with my grandparents a lot and my mom, and some I'd go back and forth. And my mom actually bought a house right next to my grandparents, so that made going back and forth
Nice.
easier.
Okay, good.
Yes. So
Okay.
yeah, so
So,
that's part of my story though, is just that. And then part of the story that leads to who I am is that in 1989 I was pregnant, I was a teenager, and I was on welfare. And I knew that in my mind that if I was going to keep my baby, that I wanted to be the best mom ever, like we do. And in my mind, that was having a natural childbirth, breastfeeding, and attachment parenting. And that's, don't ask me how that happened because, I think I even got it voted like most crazy in high school. And
wow.
so
So that's amazing that you were, as a teenager, actually, really considering all the natural and healthy and all of that back then. Why do you think you were so aware of that?
that's a really good question because growing up, I had access to everything. I mean, we had a bowling alley, we had vending machines, we had a restaurant with soda machines. So everything was 100% accessible. If I wanted a candy bar, I could take money from the till and put it in the vending machine. If I wanted a soda, there's the soda machine. So I
So,
don't know what it was that really prompted me about just this natural, healthy, holistic. I've always been a little alternative. I used to like meditate and I like dancing, but
okay,
just
okay.
having that baby and just knowing that I needed to be a good mom. And part of my story is that having a baby in the hospital, the traditional medical system made it really hard to be natural. I
Yep.
think I had the last 1950s birth where I got like wheeled into like a sterile delivery room under bright lights because it was a small town and then they remodeled. So
So how did you start even looking into, all the natural aspects?
Well, it was actually in the hospital and going through that birth experience, and the only support they were really able to give me is, do you want some drugs? Do you want some drugs to take the edge off the pain? So I made it through the delivery without accepting any, which was actually really hard.
Yep.
And then I knew I wanted to breastfeed, and I'd read that my baby has to keep nursing until my milk comes in. And the nurses came in and like, oh, your baby's thirsty. Here's a bottle of sugar water. I actually
Oh,
just had a friend who delivered in the hospital, and they still do that now. I'm like, what?
what?
And so how I knew this as a teenager, that if I gave my baby that bottle, my chances of breastfeeding successfully and having my milk come in fully would have dropped by like 50%.
Yep.
So I hid the bottle because I didn't want to upset the nurses, and I wouldn't let them take her from me. So that was the start. So I didn't know what to do. And then the story goes, and then I took her in for all of her well baby checkups, and then I realized all it was were just rounds of vaccines.
Yep.
Rounds of toxic injections. And I cried every time, and I didn't want her to do it, but I was just feared because I was on welfare, and CPS was gonna come take my baby away if I didn't do what they said. And then
Yep.
and the next thing was she got sick. Once again, I'm a teenager. I'm living over here in Spokane, going to school for legal office administration, and take her to the doctor again. All they do is they write a prescription. I give her the antibiotics. She has a reaction. And I'm like, okay, not only is this model not helping, it's actually hurting my baby.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I'm going to get out, but I'm going to get out.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sure lots of people have had similar struggles. I know I had at least had a midwife who was trying to help me, advocate for the natural stuff, but still they ended up giving my baby a bottle while in the hospital before I could get there he had to stay in the hospital a couple extra days. And before I could get in there, they were giving him a bottle before, and I was coming to feed him, but it caused problems.
Okay.
So
Were you able
I'm
to
sure
breastfeed?
other people have had the same experience.
Okay, so but you had to work through the difficulty of getting him to latch correctly.
Exactly. It was terrible. It was
Oh,
terrible. Yeah. Oh, and I would come back into the hospital. I would come in, and the midwife would be there to help me, and the lactation consultant. The hospital, they were getting mad at us for me laying on the bed and getting propped up and getting comfortable. And so I'd come in, and they'd have a sign on the bed saying, don't use this. The lactation consultant would throw the sign off and put me on there. Yeah.
And once again, the doctors and the nurses are amazing. Like our Western medical system for acute care, for emergencies,
Yep.
it shines, but
Yep.
for healthcare, it doesn't, because it's broken. And they only have three options that they can do for us. They can do surgery, they can give us, drugs, and they can use radiation. So going natural has been the biggest blessing in my life, because I'm 100% out. I ended up having 4 home births and raising all of those children zero, without a pediatrician, no well child doctor visits, no inoculations, and no antibiotics. And just getting out of the medical system created health for my kids that they wouldn't have had.
So just the act of you hiding that initial sugar water bottle, you're showing part of your personality is some independence and assertiveness and just not going along. Would you say that's part of your personality?
I like to think I'm super obedient. Like growing up, I was like the quiet one. Cyndi's so polite, but then yes, I guess I was the alternative girl. Like in our small school, I was the one who was
alternative.
The alternatives guide, which was really fun. So
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't want to hurt anyone, like purposefully. I didn't want to hurt the nurses' feelings. I don't want to be like the rebel that's hurting people, just standing up for who I am.
So you were sneaky assertive.
When I wouldn't even say, I'm like, oh my gosh, my kids, we were playing a game once with some people, and they're like, your mom cheated. And my kids are like, they're like laughing. They're like, no, that's not my mom. She's a little too on the honest side.
Okay, there you go. So as a teenager, how did that work into? What kind of jobs did you hold?
Well, I luckily when so it's a little family tradition. My mom got pregnant March. Her senior year in high school had me in December. I got pregnant March, my senior year in high school. So my baby was born in December. So I was already graduated when I had her. My whole life changed in 1997 when I was pregnant again with my second baby. And I knew I didn't want to go back to the hospital. And luckily, I had heard about home birth and had gotten a midwife. And she's like, everyone takes Bradley childbirth classes. If you want to have a home birth, do it successfully, take the Bradley childbirth classes. And so I did. And they literally changed my entire life. And that is how I became who I am.
Aha. Explain a little bit more. What stood out from that?
So what stood out was that they went through and explained that what you eat is the baby that you grow, and you can 100% prevent like gestational diabetes and preeclampsia based on your diet, but your diet had to be only whole foods. And I'm like, okay, so no white flour, no white sugar, no processed foods, fresh. And so that's what I did. I got rid of it all. And
wow.
And then it was amazing. And that's really the number one thing. When people do all these crazy diets, what they usually do is they're not doing any processed food.
Right.
I think the ideal starter, if you wanted to do a commercialized diet, would be Whole30, because it's teaching you how to eat whole food, when maybe that's a new concept for people.
Now, were you living with any other people that you kind of either had to work around or you started influencing them?
So in 97, it was my husband, and then I had my daughter, and I like to make her life miserable with all the new things I was doing. Yeah, I was a little too pushy. I now know that we should not force children to eat. You're a psychiatrist, right? Like, you never force anything into someone's body. That's sort of similar to rape, and that creates boundary issues later on. So yeah, but I mean, I was young and I just wanted her to be healthy, and here's healthy food, so eat it.
That's great.
I've learned better.
Okay, so I'm suspecting that maybe your daughter got a little hard-headed and started fighting you on some of this stuff.
Yeah, it was hard for her. I mean, I was so tight. Like, there's no sleepovers. I created way too much of a control factor. I remember getting to speak in church. We just think you're such a wonderful mother. Will you please speak for Mother's Day? And I'm like, well, of course.
Okay, so going along, how did it kind of turn into this being a career? It's what you do.
So that the whole food thing really made a difference. That's really what I became known as, and what I would give talks on. I'd teach classes on it, because so from there I switched over to whole food, but then I was still searching for that perfect diet. So I went vegetarian, I went vegan, and this is in like the late 90s. But then luckily in 2001, there was another life-changing moment when I read the book Nourishing Traditions. Have you read that one?
No.
Nourishing Traditions by Sally Fallon. And it basically, this is one of my favorite stories to tell. In the 1930s, Dr. Weston Price traveled the world searching for pockets of civilization that had not been, or searching for pockets that had not been contaminated, basically, by our industrial food system. He in-depth studied 14 of them. And what's interesting is, so all of these 14 cultures, which we don't even have that anymore, and it's really sad, they all lived 100% on local foods, pretty much. They didn't have jails, hospitals, or mental institutions.
Huh.
And when, if you could eat 100% on local foods, which we can do now, that's why people are getting back into the food forests and, growing their own food. And I really promote that. Okay, go on.
So you have like a little farm yourself, don't you?
I just have a garden. So I had 2 acres when I lived in Valley Ford. So that's where I had my 5th home birth, was in Valley Ford. And I had 2 acres there, and I had like goats.
Okay, so where's your husband in all this?
So I'm not married, but I've been with my partner for like 5 years. So he's like, yeah, have your garden. And so I have my garden and just growing things and herbs, but yeah, it's nothing too extreme over here.
Okay. So you kind of lead a normal life.
Yes, but but my ex-husband and once again, like I really made our home like this healing zone. He had he had access to all the right food, but he really struggled. And this is what so many people struggle with today are secret addictions that destroy your body and mind. And so and I didn't know this till years later, was secretly addicted to Mountain Dew.
Uh-huh.
And it ended up, he had like heart problems. And then he admitted this, like when we were going towards the divorce, he's like secretly addicted to pornography, which destroys your mind.
Oh,
And then having pain, they just put you on. This is back when they were putting people on all the drugs and then becoming addicted to those pharmaceuticals. It destroyed his whole life.
yep.
Yeah. My ex was in intensive care for like 11 days.
Wow. So you have a lot of examples over the years of problems with traditional medical interventions.
And once again, it's a choice. And that's the other thing. But it's a choice, but it's not, because when someone's addicted to something, there's so many factors behind it.
Yeah.
They're compensating for things, and then they actually get physically addicted. So they're mentally and physically. It's really difficult.
And yeah, thank you for noting there's many variables that enter into it. That's for sure. Okay, so what are you doing nowadays?
So now, after all that, I had a studio in Liberty Lake and then went to massage school, certified in reflexology, and I've trained in 20 different modalities in actual places like reflexology in Salt Lake, down in Salt Lake, and polarity therapy in Salem, Oregon, craniosacral in Ontario. The Chopra certification, I was the last class to have to go in person. So to 4 different times to Carlsbad, California. So with all of that training, I had a studio at the time, and I would just keep adding modalities to it. So when I closed it in 2020, because it was in Washington, and in 2020, they would prefer small business not to be open and only corporate to be open.
Yep.
Which was interesting. So I closed the studio, and then I'm doing luxury sound baths and retreats. I have been, but I still incorporate those 20 healing modalities in these private sessions. I have a 5-week alignment, and then I also work with people for 6 months. One of the big things that I do is belief code, emotion code, body code. Have you heard of those or worked with them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are you trained in any of them?
No, I'm not.
Okay. I just think they're fascinating to me. And so I started doing energy work years ago, and it just really resonates because your energy doesn't lie. Like energy doesn't lie.
So for people who are just hearing this term, energy work, how would you explain it to them?
Your body knows exactly what it needs. Like you have this internal system. And so when I do muscle testing, I can ask your body, and then I use my muscles, not yours, to get yes or no answers. So when I have clients, basically some of them are like, okay, they need to exercise. What's the best exercise program? Okay, for this one person, okay, it's, he's older, he's been living a sedentary life. Okay, so walking 2 hours a day, no matter how you do it, your body really wants you to walk 2 hours a day. And when you tap into that versus just randomly trying all this stuff, and we can do it for supplements, for sleep, we can solve problems, but we can also get rid of your negative programs and limiting beliefs that are how you're moving. It's the filter for how you see the world.
Yes.
So
mind and body.
Yeah, it's mind and body. And that's why this works so well, because it gets rid of like all this baggage you don't even know is there. So people can come to me, like whether they're in different states, and we can talk, but they don't even have to talk. And I can still do this work because I'm doing it with your energy field, and I create a chart so that way they know what was released, positive programs that were installed, and then an action plan to help their body. So that's like the 6 months that I work with people, and just once a week, because what would it look like if you actually got rid of that one story that holds you back? I've talked to this one woman the other day. She was in her 60s. She's like, yeah, my sister lost her husband in her early 20s. That's her story. 40 years. Well, because he left me. Well, if this wouldn't have happened, you probably hear it all the time. People are stuck. So I help them in 6 months get rid of that big story, their body, and have like this huge transformation doing this energy work, because it's working with the other 95% of them, not just their mental mind.
Is there any sort of a simple way for you to explain how you're reading this?
So what it is like, if the emotion code's really simple, there's 64 different emotions, and I can actually grab the chart to show you, just 2 seconds. So there's 64 emotions that cover most everything. And when I do more advanced work, I might pull up other ones. And so this is the basic. Here's the chart, 64 emotions. So can I release an emotion for you, Lucretia?
Through the computer over the internet?
Yeah, isn't that cool? Because energy it's not stagnant. I do this over the phone, I do it over the computer. People sign me up to do sessions for people who I've never even talked to. And
All
it
right.
works.
All right.
Okay, so may I release emotion for you?
Sure.
So I usually start with like a moment of silence. If the person's comfortable, I will do a verbal prayer. So I'm just going to do a moment of silence with you, just to clear the energy. Ask that everything's in your highest best good. And the emotion that we can release now, and once again, now in public. And so what I do is I muscle test. So I use my fingers. So this is, my name is Cyndi. Yes. My name is Lucretia. No, it goes through. Yes, holds tight. No, goes through. There's a lot of different ways to do it. So now I have people, they're like, Cyndi, do the finger thing. What do I need? Do the finger thing. So I'm like, okay, I'll do the finger thing. I'll tell you what you need. So you're in column, and then I just go down, and I do it really quick. My sessions move quickly because, so you're in column A. Yes, your first emotion's in A. It's in row 1, 2. It's in row 2. It's anxiety, despair, disgust, nervousness. So let's release some nervousness right now. So to do this, you have a governing meridian in acupuncture. It's like goes over your head, down your spine. So if someone's in person, I would just take my hand or a magnet, or I have things that are even better because I have so many fun things when people come. They're like, this is like a game. And that's all we do. So releasing. So then I ask, can I release this emotion now? Sometimes we need to find out when that emotion was trapped. That's really interesting too, because I've gone back, and a lot of times when I tell them, okay, this was trapped at this age, they'll be like, that's when that happened.
Huh?
And sometimes someone doesn't have a memory. I had one woman that I worked on, and she, the memory of like horror came up. And I'm like, horror, and it was trapped at age 3. She's like, I don't know. And later on that night, she was talking to her brother. She's like, yeah, I did this really cool work. And she's like, that was weird. And he's like, oh, yes, that's when when dad raped mom between our beds. Oh. And her mind as a 3-year-old, blocked it out, which it should. And that's why I like this work, because we never have to bring up the most horrendous thing that ever happened to fix it. We can release the emotions that cause the triggers that terrify you.
Sure. Okay.
And it's been really powerful. You can just see people's changes. So for you, so now we can release nervousness. So releasing nervousness. And if you were here, otherwise I just do it and it's basically 3 swipes. So is that released? Yes. There you go.
Okay.
So it's that simple, but it's obviously, there's so much more to it, but it seems so easy, but there's a lot of training behind it.
People, boy, for the past maybe 6 months or so, keep commenting on how calm I am. And of course, I'm doing lots of work on that. But when you talk about nervousness, I would say I was always a nervous child. And my dad would call me a worrier. So I don't know how that all kind of interconnects, but maybe you're picking up on something in there.
Right. And that's, once again, what we can release now. It's just really interesting when you just keep moving through, because a session is lots of these corrections together. And then I love working on the body. Like I said, I've trained someone in modalities. I can read someone's energy. I can just take care of them. So if someone's had a death, or they've been through something really, a traumatic loss, they can come in and they can just be taken care of. They don't have to say anything. And that's another skill that I think has been really beneficial. And I was doing grief massage before I ever had any, major trauma in my own life. And luckily I had the skills to help me out.
So currently, do you have different kinds of sessions that people sign up for? What would be a typical, maybe starting session if someone wanted to sign up with you?
So I have, it's the release and restore alignment session. It's 2 hours where they come in. I'll usually do, go through, it's so much more than this. It's the limiting beliefs. It looks like a tree. Your belief system is like a tree. Your negative programs are like the leaves and branches. Your limiting beliefs are the trunk. You have a faulty core belief, which is the root, and maybe even the soil around it wasn't that healthy, and that's your faulty core identity. So we'll move through that first, and we'll do any associated imbalances. Maybe there's things happening in your body, and then we can find those and correct them. And maybe someone needs an action plan for what's happening in their body. I have one person who's coming because they have some really bad foot pain. They've gone to all the doctors, nothing helps. I have someone else, her friend just gave her one of those 2-hour sessions because she's like, I did everything the medical system told me to for this last year. And now they're like, there's nothing else we can do. And she has stage 4 cancer. So they're like, what can you do?
Okay.
Because now we can ask her body, what nutrition do you need? Do you need toxins to get rid of after all that? What emotions are leading to this? So it's this really complete work. So the first one is, yes, it's a 2-hour session, a release, restore, and alignment session.
And do you still incorporate your massage or anything like that into these?
I do work on the body if someone wants, and which I love. So if we can do like most of the time on the body, and there's so many modalities that I can incorporate. So yeah, and when I work on the body, I mean, it's top of the head, tip of the toe. It's moving energy because it's all these energy lines. So I don't see and that's when I went to massage school, was actually because in 2010, I learned about in 2008, learned about this energy work stuff. And I'm like, ooh, that's really cool. And I went to school for it for 6 months down in Clifton, Idaho, and took this whole program with homeopathics and flower essences, essential oils, reading chakras, all of these other types of energy modalities, herbs, food, nutrition. And she's like, if you like doing this work, get a massage license. It's a license to touch people. And so when I went to massage school, I went to a naturopathic massage school, which taught even more alternative healing modalities. And so I never really look at the body like a traditional massage. Like I don't do sports massage. I've always done it by reading energy.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So when you give a plan to a person, I'm assuming it includes healthy eating and some sort of exercise and.
Well, but once again, it depends on where they're at. That's why this is so neat, because it's not like this one protocol that fits all. Everyone needs this. It's so individualized. I don't think anyone does anything that's more individualized just for you. And then when someone talks to me, like we narrow it down even more.
So you're drawing on 20, 25 years of experience in multiple areas of interest and expertise.
And and then once again, all those different certifications that I
Yep.
paid for. And then now I can just pull it all together. And everything just boils down to love. Like if you just literally love someone and you really care. And I tell people this too. There's nothing I'm doing for you that you can't do for yourself. You don't need anything but you and your connection to your higher source, to God. And almost all of the addiction programs that work, they connect people to source, to God.
Yep.
So you can do it yourself, but sometimes it's like when we go to a restaurant, we want someone else to make us that beautiful dinner.
All right.
To be taken care of. We want someone else to come clean our house. So I am happy to help people, but I do want people to know that they have the power to heal themselves.
Okay. So what was this 5-week thing that you mentioned earlier?
Oh, the 5-week. So that's like the 5-week series of the release, restore, and alignment. So if you come once a week and you're making changes and action steps, you can move through so much through. But sometimes for some people, like we're just stuck in the past. I mean, there's so many stories that we're living in, and that's where working with me for 6 months. I have an inner circle and it's mostly women, but 6 women for 6 months. And then just once a week. And that's just 45-minute sessions once a week. The alignment sessions are the 2-hour sessions just to try and move people through quicker.
And you're meeting in person?
So the alignment's in person. And then if you're local, that's something really fun. But if you're not, I can do a session over the phone, and I have that option too. So someone's like, I've had people do that. So I do like a $97 introductory session over the phone with someone where we'll do like a belief system and tap into a few things that you might need.
Okay. But the 5-week one, you're getting together.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing for local people. Just because that's what people know me for. It's just that in-person connection.
I think I saw something about you. Did you have a retreat or you have one coming up?
No, I'm not doing any more public ones now that I have my inner circle. So for the local people who are on inner circle, then we'll do like the healing retreats together. So I don't have any right now. But yeah, I've done like these amazing retreats that incorporate the cards on my card deck and things. So
Okay, so now is your whole business called Happiness Hives?
yeah, so my LLC is Seven Roots, and I had energy massage and reflexology, but now happinesshives.com, super easy to find. Is there a back end of the website that needs to be updated? Probably. Are you going to go, and is the website going to be super current? Probably not at the moment. Because I'm really good at what I do, and I love being like working with people, but
you need someone to do the
aspect,
tech.
as we know,
Okay,
it's
so
time to get the microphone. What?
happinesshives.com.
Yes.
And then talk about your card deck.
So, okay, let me talk about my card deck. So back in October, my business coach in the morning, I do an accountability call where we just like say our goals, what we're doing for the day. And half the time I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And so he's like, you should do a card deck, Cyndi. And the minute he said it, it resonated. And that was in October. By November, I'd said a prayer, and like all this random 25 years of knowledge information, like was literally put in this perfectly organized form. Like I knew what to do. I hand wrote it all out on index cards. So I created this deck with all those 25 years with 7 categories, 7 cards each, 3 wild cards and a joker. And so this is when I say you can do it yourself. Here's the system. And I love it because once again, I'm not giving you a protocol because Cyndi's fun. So you can move through it. Ideally, you're going to do every card. There's 1 card per week. There's 52 weeks in a year. Or you can just draw a card a day. So if you're new to all this natural stuff and you're like, flip, I don't know where to start. I mean, I've had clients, they're like, honestly, Cyndi, I'm a nurse. I work in healthcare. I eat fast food every day. So to get started, you can just draw. It's as simple as drawing a card. So every card has 5 things on it. And there's a number, a category, an action, an affirmation, inspiration, and an essential oil. That was another sticking point for people. They're like, I got a box of essential oils I never use. I don't know how to use it. So you can pull out the cards with the essential oils you have. They're basically alphabetized to make it easy. So if you have 20 oils at home, you pull out those 20 cards and you can say, what oil do I need today?
So you can make use of the oils you have.
Yeah, I'm feeling anxious. What oil could I use? I'm getting a cold. And you can do it with the card deck too. Like I have these cold symptoms, and obviously be smart. If you feel prompted that you need to go to a doctor, go to a doctor.
Yes.
You know best for yourself.
Yes.
But otherwise, most symptoms can be treated at home. So that's what's fun. So that these have all of the different, I've done trainings on it. I have a training online. If you go to my Happiness Hives YouTube, it's just Happiness Hives. It's a YouTube channel, and there's a training that's uploaded, and it's going to sort of run you through how to use the card deck.
Okay, wonderful.
So there you go.
All right. Well, I appreciate that, Cyndi, that you aren't telling people never go to the doctor.
No, just because I still don't have a doctor. I don't do yearly checkups. I do nothing. Like, I don't go to the doctor. That's me. I don't have health insurance but once again, I don't know what's right for you. You do. So there's naturopath doctors. So if you get diagnosed with something that really scares you, I would highly recommend going to a naturopath doctor. They're still a doctor, but they can show you some alternative remedies. And that way, but you usually have to pay out of pocket because insurance covers the pharmaceutical model.
Right.
So anything that you want to do naturally is going to come out of your pocket.
Yep. Okay. What else do you think people should know about you that just kind of hasn't come up as we were talking?
That I love you and I care. I like to dance. That's a good question. I'm quiet at home.
You're
I'm
quiet?
loud here.
You're
I know.
quiet.
They're like, no, you're not. So yeah, my sessions, because I get like all like really excited. But then the minute we like get in the room, like it's all like this Zen work mode. I'm like,
Nice.
yeah,
Great.
there you go. And meditation changed my life. Do you have a meditation practice?
Sporadic.
Okay. That's probably the number one thing you can do. It literally rewires your brain. It will change everything. So I do a silent meditation using a primordial sound mantra because I wanted the power to do meditation. That was one of the best things I heard. If you need your phone to meditate, it's like holding an AA meeting in a liquor store. Like, wait, I'm going to meditate. I need to get my phone to turn the app on. So learning to meditate with a timer on your own, I think is powerful.
So what was the kind of meditation you said you do?
I teach primordial sound meditation. And so I'm actually opening up my next commercial location.
Aha.
So Heat Praxia is here local in Coeur d'Alene. They have the sauna and the cold plunge. I was their very first member, their OG member, and they had a water leak back in October, so they had to remodel, and they found this new gorgeous location. It happens to have 9 rooms upstairs, and so they gave me first choice of the treatment rooms. So I'll be able to lead like meditation groups there, and we can go forest bathing, we can ground and do hula hoops. So I'll be doing a lot more public things.
Nice. All right. Is there a book or two that you would recommend to people?
Nourishing Traditions changed my life, and for most people it's changed theirs. And if you're a mom who's going to have a baby, Nourishing Traditions has the baby and healthcare. So the whole food will change your life. I love giving the analogy of a house. So this is a beautiful home where I'm at right now. This is beautiful. This is like a dream. This would be considered a dream home. And it had a really good architect, contractor, building crew. But what if you're building your dream home and all that got delivered to this building site was plastic, cardboard, and glue? You can't build this house. But that's what we do to our children, to ourselves every single day with Goldfish, with McDonald's, with anything that's processed, that's manufactured and has a label. That's my favorite thing. What should I eat, Cyndi? How should I read a label? Well, if it has a label, you probably shouldn't be eating it.
So say the name again. Nourishing
Traditions by Sally Fallon.
Okay.
Is a number one thing. And if you want to start overeating, the first category I've done is whole food. And so basically you can get rid of every single thing in your house and start over with these 7 free recipes that I have on my website. So happinesshives.com, and you can get the 7 free recipes and maybe just try one once a week. And I'm also having the Happy Bee Society membership is coming up where we go through it's as simple as we're going to do 1 card a week. You're going to learn how, I would hope everyone would have this because it makes it easier to do fun things at home.
When does that start?
That I wanted it to start in July. It's just the back end of stuff is harder than I thought.
Yeah.
I'm ready to start.
So it's coming up.
It's coming up. Yeah. So I've got an amazing community.
Wonderful. Well, you've got a lot going on.
Yes. So if you want to see me, think about the Happy Bee Society. And if you're really struggling, just reach out to me. 509-979-BABE. Call me.
Oh, say that again slower though.
I love it. My daughter got me my first cell phone and her number was 509-979-BABY. So she got mine 1 number off from her. So it's Babe. That was before I was a massage therapist. And then it was just funny. Like I used to go out and people were like, hey, can I have your number? And so I'd throw that one out. And so no one would ever call because, they thought I was like lying. Like, yeah, sure. 509-709-BABE.
That's great. But you can remember it.
Yeah, it's my business number too. So
that's funny.
Throw me a text or, I don't know.
And when does your office building area open up?
So like with any construction, they wanted to be open, by June 1st, but then all of a sudden there's another leak. I don't know if anyone's ever done any remodel. So it should be this summer. And then I'll be able to really promote like the membership by doing some really fun live events and get people connected. And my whole goal is to connect people. We should all be friends with our neighbors, growing food together, sharing meals, sharing whole food meals together. So someone can be like, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm going to try making a salad, and everyone try one of the detox recipes and bring it, and let's be friends.
Neat.
Local friends in person.
So for now, people should go out to happinesshives.com.
Yes.
And look into your membership.
Which is going to be launching. Everyone should just text me with what they want, and I'll put them on the right list.
Okay.
Or sign up for the 7 detox recipes, because then you're going to be on the email list, and then you'll just know it all. Go get your recipes and try one is what they need to do.
Very cool. Well, thank you for letting people know how they could just start down this path and all of the amazing things that you are involved in. You've got a busy life.
Yeah, between the meditating and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, between the meditating. Yes, a lot of my direction is moving into mindfulness and mindfulness meditation. So definitely.
No, that's why you're going to come. I can't wait, because you're going to come and be a part of it and lead some of our group teams when we finally get it going.
Absolutely. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm about to wind this down. Any last thoughts or comments?
I love you. I'm so grateful to be here. Yes, I think the other thing is forest bathing. Go out, walk in nature. If there was one thing to do, walk in nature every day without your phone, or at least turn it on airplane mode.
Yep.
Nature will heal you. Go barefoot on the ground. Drink your water. Drink 2 quarts of water a day. That's your basic.
But I have my water at work, so I am drinking water all day.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you for doing this interview. Thanks for giving me your time, and have a great rest of the day. I think we have sunshine for a few days now.
Good. Thank you.
Thanks.